scared of nobody. What you want to do? Come on, what you want,
man.
baby?
You a joke.
I ain't scared of you, man. I'm grown now. I'm grown. I ain't scared of you. What you want to do?
That stinker and some butcher paper? Dumpster right in the dumpster.
And they didn't want John Witherspoon. What? They didn't want him. They thought he was too ghetto. They thought that John was too country, that he was too Detroit. You know that Detroit player, brother.
The producers of the Wayans brothers desperately tried to hide an infamous scene, a move so damaging it helped kill the show entirely. A sitcom that launched in 1995 and made stars out of Shawn and Marlon Wayans ended without a single goodbye.
We just want to say, Mr. Gibbs, you will always be alive in our memories. Keep Gibbs alive.
Behind the laughs was a trail of quiet sabotage from inside the studio. The most explosive reveal came from Marlon, who revealed what John Witherspoon went through to be on the show.
We sat there and we created the show together, and then we got to NBC, we got to the table read, and they didn't want John Witherspoon.
But that was just the beginning. First, they replaced the iconic A Tribe Called Quest theme song that fans loved.
We're brothers, we're happy and we're singing and we're colored.
Then they moved Pop's Diner, from Harlem's soul to Rockefeller Center's glass.
Man, I'm not a millionaire like you, but that diner was my dream, and I worked my hands to the bones to make it work.
Bit by bit, the producers dismantled what made the show authentic. So, why?
Marlon Wayans, acting tape, take one.
The first episode of The Wayans Bros aired on January 11th, 1995. Inside a Harlem apartment with broken blinds and a busted couch. Two brothers, both in real life and on screen. Shawn, clean-cut, goal-oriented. Marlon, hoodie-wearing, reckless, and broke.
Yeah, what next? What, you got power?
Their dynamic wasn't scripted. It was lived. Raised in New York, raised in comedy, raised in chaos. And anchoring it all was their father, Pops, played by John Witherspoon, a man who could get laughs with one squint and one line. Bang, bang, bang. Pops owned a diner, always cutting corners, always yelling, always broke.
You don't know me, I'm crazy, boy! I'm crazy! Brooklyn, boy, Brooklyn!
But then, something strange happened. And not in a funny way. After 4 seasons of laughs, chaos, and family moments, the Wayans brothers just ended. No final episode, no big goodbye. It didn't even get a chance to wrap things up. One day it was on, the next day it was gone. Fans were confused, and honestly, still are. What made it worse was that the show was doing well. It wasn't like the Wayans brothers was flopping. In some cities, it was actually pulling in better numbers than WB's other shows, even some of their teen hits. So naturally, fans started asking the obvious question. If the show was popular, why was it suddenly canceled? And this wasn't the only change that had people scratching their heads. Let's talk about the theme song, because for the Wayans brothers, the theme song wasn't just music, it was an identity. From day one, the show kicked off with a bold move, using the instrumental of a tribe called Quest's Electric Relaxation. That choice wasn't random. It was hip-hop. It was culture. It told viewers exactly what kind of show they were about to watch. It wasn't just about sounding cool. It made a statement. It said, "This is who we are." And that made sense, because Shawn and Marlon were raised in hip-hop. Shawn used to be a DJ. Marlon walked, talked, and dressed like someone straight off a New York block. The intro matched their personalities. Playful, confident, unapologetically black. The episode would start with a fake-out, that cheesy 70s-style intro with wigs and disco clothes. And then boom, the Tribe Called Quest beat dropped. It was funny, surprising, and smooth all at once. But that changed after season 2. Suddenly, the song was gone. No warning, no explanation. Replaced with a brand new instrumental made by Shawn, Marlon, and their friend, Omar Epps. The new theme song wasn't terrible. It still had bounce, but it didn't hit the same. It didn't carry the same weight or meaning. Fans felt like something important had been stripped away, like the soul of the show had been edited out. And that's the thing. For a lot of viewers, that Tribe Called Quest beat was the sound of the Wayans Brothers. Losing it felt like a step away from what made the show unique in the first place. Even though the show stayed funny and true to its vibe, that quiet change said something. That maybe not everyone involved in the production understood why the show worked so well in the first place. The theme song wasn't the only shift that threw people off. Another big change came in Season 2, and it had everything to do with where the characters lived and worked. One big change that upset fans was the location of Pops's Diner. In the first season, Pops's Diner was in Harlem, a place full of culture and history. It felt real and connected to the characters. But in the second season, the diner moved to Rockefeller Center in Manhattan. Some fans thought this made the show lose some of its heart. They missed the authentic feel of Harlem and felt the new location didn't fit as well with the show's original vibe.
They're going somewhere where the wine flows free, the women are easy, and they gamble all night long.
Another struggle was the lack of recognition for the show's success. Marlon Wayans spoke out about this, saying the WB network didn't give the show the credit it deserved. Did you know the Wayans Bros often had higher ratings than big shows like Friends in Some Cities? Despite this, the network didn't treat it like one of its top programs. Marlon felt the show helped make the WB network popular, but it never got the respect or promotion it earned. It's important to remember that the Wayans Brothers wasn't just another sitcom. It was the first original sitcom on the WB network. Back then, the WB was new and trying to find an audience. The show's working title was Brother to Brother, but it was later changed to The Wayans Brothers. It was part of a big night of shows, including Unhappily Ever After and The Parenthood. This lineup helped put the WB on the map. Despite these struggles, The Wayans Brothers remains a favorite for many fans.
Talking about Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones are still out there making that paper.
Did you know Shawn and Marlon Wayans had to fight hard to cast John Witherspoon as their dad in The Wayans Brothers? The network bosses didn't think he was the right guy for the role. Can you believe that? But Shawn and Marlon stood their ground. They knew Witherspoon was perfect for the part, and they refused to back down. John Witherspoon, or Pops as many fans lovingly call him, was a comedy legend. He made people laugh in movies like Boomerang, Friday, and Vampire in Brooklyn. He was also in TV shows like, but his role as Pops in The Wayans Brothers became one of his most famous and loved roles.
All right. Your mom's mom is coming in town, and I gotta get out of here.
When Shawn and Marlon were working on the show, they were clear about one thing. John Witherspoon had to play their dad. However, the NBC network didn't agree. They wanted someone else, even suggesting Danny Glover. Now, Danny Glover is great, but Shawn and Marlon couldn't see him yelling, "Get in here!" or acting like the hilarious, over-the-top dad they envisioned. They believed Witherspoon brought something special no one else could. Shawn once shared this story at Witherspoon's funeral in 2019. He said that when NBC tried to push another actor on them, they simply said, "Nope, that's our Pops. Take it or leave it." NBC decided not to pick up the show, which could have been a disaster. But then Warner Brothers stepped in. They agreed to cast Witherspoon as Pops, and the rest is history.
And as me and Marlon got older and started moving on in our comedy career, we was like, yo, when we do our show, that dude's gonna be our father. That's gonna be our Pops right there. And we were little boys, but we knew that that dude was gonna be our dad.
Can you imagine the Wayans Brothers without John Witherspoon? He brought so much heart and laughter to the show. His funny lines, big personality, and lovable energy made Pops unforgettable. The Wayans brothers saw his talent and wouldn't let anyone else take that spot. When John Witherspoon passed away on October 29, 2019, the comedy world was heartbroken. He left behind a legacy of laughter and unforgettable performances. Shawn and Marlon's decision to fight for him showed not just their love for him as an actor, but also their understanding of what made the Wayans brothers so special.
Look, he's even splurging some money for a brand new suit.
This is not a suit. This is my coffin.
Without John Witherspoon, the show wouldn't have been the same. Pops was the glue that held it all together. Shawn and Marlon took a risk, and it paid off. Fans will always remember John Witherspoon as the hilarious, wisecracking, and loving dad who made us all laugh. Comedy is meant to make people laugh, but sometimes it can also stir up mixed feelings. The slapstick humor and over-the-top antics in certain shows have been loved by many. People enjoy the silliness, funny movements, and exaggerated jokes. However, not everyone feels the same. Some believe these types of comedy rely too much on stereotypes or physical gags. This can make the humor feel repetitive or even offensive to some viewers.
You couldn't call? Huh? What, there's no phones? Oh, let me guess, your finger's broken?
The Wayans brothers brought a unique and edgy style to the world of comedy. Their jokes often pushed boundaries, which made some people laugh, but also made others uncomfortable. Finding a studio to support their vision wasn't easy at first. Many studios were nervous about taking a risk on their type of humor. They worried that it might upset people or fail to attract a big audience. This hesitation didn't stop the Wayans brothers, though. Instead, it showed how determined they were to stick to their style. They believed in their work, even when it wasn't for everyone. Their comedy aimed to shine a light on real-life issues, but through a playful and outrageous lens. This boldness won them fans who appreciated their honesty and willingness to take risks. Still, the criticism can't be ignored. Some argue that their jokes sometimes went too far or leaned too heavily on stereotypes. While humor based on stereotypes might seem funny at first, it can also be hurtful or offensive. Over time, audiences have become more aware of how comedy can impact different groups of people. This has led to more conversations about what's okay to joke about and what crosses the line. The challenge with comedy is finding a balance. It should be funny and entertaining, but also mindful of how it affects others. The Wayans brothers' style sparked a lot of these conversations. It showed that comedy could be more than just laughter. It could also make people think. Now, in 1999, fans were left confused and upset because the show didn't get a chance to say goodbye properly. After 5 years and over 100 episodes, the network abruptly canceled The Wayans Brothers without giving it a final episode. There was no big moment to wrap up the characters' stories, no emotional goodbye for fans to remember. The cancellation came during the summer of 1999, leaving everyone surprised, including the cast. For many black-led TV shows at the time, this kind of treatment wasn't unusual. Unfortunately, they often didn't get the respect they deserved. Shawn and Marlon Wayans didn't let this setback stop them. They moved on to bigger projects in Hollywood, but they didn't forget how the Wayans brothers ended. Shawn even joked about it in their 2000 movie Scary Movie. In one scene, his character says, "And the Wayans brothers was a good show, man. It was a good show, and we didn't even get a final episode." Fans appreciated this moment because it showed the brothers understood their frustration. Even though the show ended without closure, it's still remembered as a classic. The Wayans brothers made people laugh and brought Shawn and Marlon's comedic talent to millions of homes. Fans may never get the ending they hoped for, but the memories of the show live on. It was, as Shawn said, a good show.
I'm stupid now!
Cue in John Witherspoon. Speaking in an interview with This Is 50 and Young Jack Thriller, the late comedian seemingly revealed the real issues that led to the cancellation. One of them was issues of pay, Though he didn't mention how much he earned, one can easily deduce that his salary was nothing to write home about. He took the issue up with the producers, who promised to increase his wages once they hit a certain milestone.
I didn't get the money that I thought I should have done, and they won't give me a raise on the Wayans Brothers, but I prolonged it too long, asked for more money. They took the contract off the table.
God dang.
Yeah.
When it was time for the increment, the producers allegedly offered him a contract that was way below what he was expecting, so he rejected it. He might not have stated it, but it definitely affected his attitude towards work, because it's kinda discouraging to put your all into a venture and not be adequately compensated, especially when the venture is super successful. To give you an idea of what he would have received at the time, here's John Witherspoon talking about how much he was paid for his role in the 1995 movie Friday. Of course, Friday was Ice Cube's movie, and he didn't have enough money at the time, but New Cinema signed on and pumped $2 million into the production, at least according to Witherspoon. The entire production blew the box office records, yielding a whopping $300 million. However, John claims he received none of that money because, in his own words, Hollywood doesn't come back to pay bonuses. Sadly, John Witherspoon's issue is a common phenomenon that affects almost every black actor or actress in Hollywood.
Then there's Pretty Woman. Hated it.
The Wayans family created shows like In Living Color and hit parody movies like Scary Movie. But their sitcom, The Wayans Brothers, often didn't get the same praise. People compared it to these bigger projects and said it wasn't as good. Still, the show had its charm and played a big role in launching Shawn and Marlon Wayans into Hollywood. The Wayans brothers gave Shawn and Marlon a chance to show their talent. It wasn't just a sitcom, it was like their training ground. They learned about acting, writing, and producing. Even though the show ended after 5 seasons, it set the stage for their future success. While working on the show, the brothers were already making moves in Hollywood. In 1996, they co-wrote and starred in, often just called Don't Be a Menace. The movie made $20 million, proving they had what it took to make people laugh on the big screen too. After the Wayans brothers ended, Shawn and Marlon kept climbing. In 2000, they co-starred, co-wrote, and co-produced Scary Movie.
Hey, yo, dog. Does this shirt make me look gay?
It became a massive hit, earning $278 million worldwide on a small $19 million budget. The sequel, Scary Movie 2, brought in another $140 million. They didn't stop there. In 2004, they made White Chicks, a comedy about 2 undercover FBI agents pretending to be rich white women. The movie made over $113 million and became one of the top comedy hits that year. 2 years later, they created Little Man, which also earned over $100 million worldwide. Marlon Wayans has said the sitcom was a big learning experience. He explained, "We were young kids from the projects of Manhattan, creating, producing, and starring in our own show. It helped us grow as artists and gave us the skills to become movie stars." The show may not have gotten as much attention, but for Shawn and Marlon, it was the foundation of their success. Now let's delve into some behind-the-scenes facts that you don't know about the show.
Isn't that the same place you got the hip?
Mm-hmm. 2 more easy payments and the whole mine.
Did you know Jeanette Dubois was younger than John Witherspoon, even though she played his mother-in-law on The Wayans Brothers? Yes, it's true. She was 3 years younger than him. That might surprise you since she looked much older in the show. The makeup team did an amazing job making her look like an older grandma. Jeanette Dubois was already a big name in Hollywood before she joined The Wayans Brothers in its 3rd season. She had a long and successful career as an actress. Many people remember her as Willona Woods on Good Times, the funny and stylish neighbor of the Evans family. She was on the show from 1974 to 1979. Dubois didn't just act, she also had a beautiful singing voice. She co-wrote and performed the theme song for The Jeffersons, called Movin' On Up. If you've ever heard it, you know it's one of the catchiest songs in TV history. It still puts a smile on people's faces to this day. When Jeanette joined the Wayans brothers, she played Grandma Ellington, the grandmother of Shawn and Marlon Williams. She was also Pops' mother-in-law. Her character and Pops didn't get along, which made for some very funny moments. Their back-and-forth arguments always had viewers laughing. But in real life, Jeanette and John Witherspoon were good friends, and they respected each other's talent. It's amazing how Jeanette Dubois pulled off playing an older woman when she was actually younger than John Witherspoon. This is a great example of the saying, "Black don't crack." Even in her later years, she looked beautiful and youthful. Her talent and charm made her unforgettable on screen. Jeanette Dubois gave us so many great performances during her life. She made us laugh, sang songs we still love, and showed how versatile she was as an actress. Her role in the Wayans brothers was just another example of her incredible skills and dedication to her craft. If you remember watching the Wayans brothers, you know it's full of running jokes that keep the laughs coming. Shawn is always chasing women. Marlon struggles with his acting dreams. Pops cuts corners in his diner while wearing eccentric clothes. And Dee is on the hunt for a man. But one of the funniest and most mysterious gags in the show is the fact that Shawn and Marlon's mother, Pops' wife, never appears in any episode. This wasn't because the writers forgot about her. In fact, some episodes focused on Pops' marriage. One story even had Shawn and Marlon claimed she had died.
My mama died. What?
Somehow, this made the jokes even funnier. The audience was left to imagine what she might be like, and her absence became part of the charm of the show. There's no official explanation for why Shawn and Marlon's mother never showed up. It could have been a creative choice by the writers to keep the focus on the father-son relationship and the brothers' adventures. Leaving her unseen gave the show a unique twist and kept viewers guessing. It also created an interesting dynamic. Pops would talk about his wife, and the brothers would react as if she was very real to them, but she remained a mystery to the audience. This made her an invisible but important part of the family. The show also had some interesting behind-the-scenes moments. For example, did you know Marlon Wayans was supposed to play Robin in the Batman movies? He missed out on the role, but he brought a bit of Batman to his sitcom. Adam West, the original Batman from the 1960s TV show, made a cameo in Season 3 as a TV show host. You might know Scott Baio from Happy Days or Charles in Charge, but he also directed 4 episodes of The Wayans Brothers in 1996. His work on the show even opened doors for him to direct other black sitcoms like The Jamie Foxx Show and The Parkers. Glynn Turman, a well-known actor from Cooley High and A Different World, directed several episodes starting in Season 3. He later worked with Marlon again on the Netflix movie Blaxcellence. The mystery of the Wayans brothers' mother adds to the charm of the show. By keeping her off screen, the writers let viewers use their imagination while focusing on the wild and funny antics of the rest of the family.
He said you was whack. He said that. He said Vanilla Ice was better than you.
There was a time when the Wayans brothers were everywhere. TV, movies, you name it. But nowadays, you don't see them as much in the comedy spotlight. So what happened? After making a huge splash with In Living Color, the family started putting more of their focus into movies. Keenen Ivory Wayans went on to star in A Low-Down Dirty Shame, while Shawn and Marlon teamed up for one of their early cult hits, Don't Be a Menace to South Central, while drinking your juice in the hood. Their momentum didn't stop there. In the early 2000s, Marlon was the face of some of the most popular comedy films out: Scary Movie, White Chicks, and Little Man. Even though Little Man didn't do great in theaters when it first came out, it actually got a second life on Netflix and became a hit all over again. But as time went on, things started to shift. By 2009, their movie dance flick flopped pretty hard. It only made back a small chunk of its $25 million budget. That was a clear sign that audiences weren't really feeling that style of comedy like they used to. Comedy was changing. The goofy, over-the-top stuff that made the Wayans name so big wasn't hitting the same anymore. Even Keenan admitted it. When he tried to reboot In Living Color, he said, "I just feel like we're in a different time," acknowledging that the industry and the audience had moved on. So no, the Wayans brothers didn't disappear. They're still around. But the kind of comedy they built their brand on just isn't as front and center as it once was. Times change, and comedy changed with it. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.